is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. If you want to get all technical, right now is a start of 2 hours, 2+ hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation, taking you all the way up the lock. It is kind of, sort of, somewhat the People's Show. It's 2/3 of the People's Show on a Tuesday. We got a swap. Bobby Gomes out. Kirkwood, Kirky's leader of the Juggalos, in. What's up, Kirkwood? Welcome to the People's Show. Maybe we'll vote you in. Myself and Tim will have a. We'll go to we'll go to tribal council. We'll have a conversation. We'll think about it. But welcome. You don't want it.
You guys got your show. I'm not here to step on any toes or anything.
Well, you know how you like to shut people out of your secret Discord. I like to bring people in. I like to be inclusive. I want to bring you into the People's Show.
Sure, but the People's Show is you and Bobby. You guys coined it.
Yeah. Well, and Tim's right there too. Tim's also.
I'm right here, Kirkwood. I'm right here.
You're right. Yeah, of course, you, Tim. Swaggy T. Of course, you're the number one person in the People's Show.
Swaggy T. We're still trying to make that a thing.
I just figured out why. So I was having a tough time with audio. My right ear isn't working. I just figured out why it's not working. There's a big tooth mark. So Dylan must have. Because he did. He just had it, and it was a scary situation. He had one of them in his mouth. I was like, oh, my God. He finds my iPods anywhere. But
your child was gnawing on it, yeah. For some reason, I'm down to one. I lost my other one, and I don't know what, but we're just hanging on with one these days. I feel like these are probably the things that are rebought so many times.
I was talking to one of the airport people. He's like, we get 500 AirPod sets a day, that are just left in the, when you put your keys in out of your pockets or whatever, or something.
Well, that's the move. Then you just go to the airport and say, "Yeah, I lost my iPods," and they're probably making tons off of eBay and whatever. What a racket it is! But the markup.
They don't get paid anything, so they deserve it. Whatever they deserve, whatever.
Tim, what's going on? Welcome to the People's Show. Happy Tuesday.
Congrats, Dean. Good for you. Nice job, Florida Panthers. I'm sure you're very, very happy.
Was the world rooting? Were they rooting for McDavid? Were they rooting for Canada? What's that bell? Is that a championship bell? What's going on there?
Everybody across the entire DFS industry was rooting against you, but it didn't work out.
Because it's me, or because it's the Florida Panthers and people don't think Florida doesn't deserve it because hockey in Florida.
Probably both.
So I think most people, it's probably they just wanted to see that the upset happen. But me, I was certainly, because of Dean, and I wanted to see the upset happen.
Thank you for clarifying.
And I actually bet on it.
It was a coin toss.
I was like, Dean is going down. There's no way Dean is winning this game 7. And so I hammered it.
And did you go through the archives, Kirkwood? You said you threatened to do this yesterday. Did you go through the archives?
Lost.
But you didn't want to go fight all the times where I touted the Panthers. You don't want to do that. That's
of course not. I already erased it.
It's interesting. It's like you had your own personal agenda, and because of the results, now it's like it never happened. All right. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Do those things. Don't go anywhere. 2 hours taking you all the way up the lock. We have, let's see, who's coming up later. Carty and Keith Eyster, as well as Kevin Roth. I did go ahead and drop the weather report. Roth did update his weather. It was pretty dicey earlier today. It looks like he's cooled off a little bit. Let's see. Yellow, orange officially now in Chicago for the White Sox at home versus the Dodgers. Still no Teoscar Hernandez, by the way. He went to, there was a death in the family. One of his grandmothers passed. So that's the reason why he was not in the lineup yesterday. Straight yellow now in Cincinnati. That looks a little bit more appealing than it did earlier in the day. I think it was yellow, orange. Also straight yellow in St. Louis, green in Kansas City. It's hot in Kansas City. So I think as of right now, no real major weather concerns. If anything pops up, of course, Roth will be all over it, hour and 10 minutes or so.
Nothing at Cincy?
Cincy is straight yellow. Yeah, it was a little bit dicey earlier today, but yeah, models are much less bullish on storm chances now. That will be his update. You can read the rest of it at your own leisure. I dropped it in chat for the people. Also, Discord. It is Tournament Tuesday. Get yourself a chance to win 1 week free of RG Premium. Jump in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel. Spots are limited. If you happen to take down the contest, you get yourself a week. It's a free contest, free to enter. Just finish first, get yourself a week free of RG Premium. And if you happen to be doing it while rocking the old RG badge, the RotoGrinders badge, you get 2 weeks. 2 weeks free of premium. All right. Kirkwood, give me the lay of the land, man. It's a 12 gamer. Not a ton of like massive totals out there. A lot of interesting secondary pitchers. Hunter Brown, DK is still punishing him for how bad he was earlier in the season. So he's well ahead of everybody else as far as projection. I think that's a big decision in the slate. Hunter Brown currently 52% ownership on a slate that has 12 teams? No, 12 games, 24 starting pitchers. That is a massive number, but he's still like at least 1K too cheap, and he's got possibly, arguably, the best matchup on the board. And then there's like 7 or 8, 9 other guys you can consider, have the conversation. We'll talk about it. Who is like next in line? You can do the old Hunter stack, Hunter Brown, Hunter Green. Hunter Green taking on Pittsburgh. Joe Ryan's throwing baseballs. Fought's pretty cheap. Bobby Miller's been pretty good. Leash is not spectacular. Ronaldo Lopez kind of an overachiever this year. Mackenzie Gore, revenge game against the tasteless, gutless San Diego Padres. Kevin Gausman kind of stinks this year by his standards. Maybe it's old Father Time hitting him. What do you got here? Give me the overview here, Kirkwood. What do you have as far as today's 12 gamer, big boy slate?
So right off the bat, it's the people's show, and you go right to me first instead of Swaggy T. But I'm going to.
You're a guest, honored guest.
That's
you're the guest, Kirkwood.
That's true. Good point. All right. So I mean, first of all, Hunter Brown's too cheap. Hunter Brown has been electric for a little while now. So he started showing signs of improvement like 9 starts ago. He really ramped it up like his last 5 was going. Like over since his last 9 starts, he's got a 30% K percentage. He gets the matchup with Colorado. He's too cheap. I have him as my top projected pitcher, and he's like 12th most expensive on DK, 9th on FanDuel. So there's definitely a pricing error there. Doesn't mean he's going to necessarily, shove on Colorado, but I think the odds are certainly in his favor to do so. So I think he's good chalk. I wrote him up. I like him a lot today. I like Hunter Green. We can go Joe Ryan. So we got a clear good top end. And I like Mackenzie Gore. I'm going to be high on Gore tonight. We were ready for Patrick Corbin yesterday, who outscored Freddie Peralta, by the way. Lip and I were going to ride. We were going to ride that till the wheels fall off, but unfortunately, Oakland come through for us. So I had to stack Corbin and get some A's in there. But anyways, I love Mackenzie Gore against the Padres. Then we've got Fought's. We've got like lower, like you can still save some more if you want to. I don't think there's really a big need to. But we also have some good bat spots just like yesterday. This is like there's a ton of games. So this is a max entry slate. You're not going to feel comfortable with one lineup anywhere. But there's good hitting weather. There's good spots. There's good, we got the Dodgers, the Astros, Yankees, all in good spots. So, there's a lot of ways to go.
All right. And the stalwart here, of course, of the People's Show, it's Tim. What is your assessment as far as today's slate? And by the way, Kirkwood said, this is not a slate you feel comfortable having one lineup. I think we're all kind of sort of like basically one main lineup guys, which is an interesting. I'm not sure. Are you guys doing anything different today? Anybody running 150 or running 100 or no?
I'm not.
Kirkwood?
No, I was in the pool with my kid, and I ran up here to catch the show, so I didn't make my own lineups. I have 3 entries like usual saved, but I don't feel comfortable with any of them.
I think DK is still doing its thing with like the penny contest. I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of penny contests out there, and there's a 222, which I think that's the one that'd be kind of interesting. That's almost full, by the way. 2 hours into a lock. Almost 43,000 spots to be claimed, over 39,000 already claimed. So if you want in on that, that will fill up soon. But there's a bunch of penny stuff out there, 50-cent stuff out there that, the quarter arcade, I assume, is still a thing. So, go ahead. And we talk about it all the time. SimLabs is a great spot. Get your reps in. You use SimLabs to help you build out those penny lineups. That's the streets you're in today. Go ahead, Tim. Your thoughts as far as today's slate.
Yeah, I think that DK really kind of ruined the slate with this Hunter Brown price. He's at least 1,000 too cheap in this matchup. He's been dominant in his last, I think, 7 starts. Granted, they've been easy matchups, but so is this one. So who cares, right? I mean, he's still far too cheap. He's got a K prop of 7.5. It's only a slightly juiced to the under. Both our projections and the bat projections have him for like 7.9 Ks. So I mean, that's ridiculous for 8,000. So he's going to be I agree with Kirkwood completely. I think he's good chalk. I would probably come close to just locking him in. Definitely lock him in a 3 max. I would consider locking him in 150, but maybe just get to like 80% and leave yourself some hedge. But I think this spot is just fantastic. Hunter Green, he just faced the same team in Pittsburgh, so tonight's a little bit harder of a slate harder spot in Cincinnati. Very, very warm in Cincinnati, but still his leash is fantastic, and he's 8.6K. I think Kirkwood also made a really good point that I don't know if you need to go down super low. But for the first time probably ever, I do kind of agree with Eric in chat.
What?
I don't mind Kyle Hendricks if you want to go super low and pay up for more of the bat. Yeah, I mean,
you're
definitely
buying that 8 strikeout game. I thought like that was okay.
I'm not buying that.
This guy is old. This guy is older than Head Chopper.
I know, but I mean, I'm not.
That's my rule. That's the bar I set.
Yeah, I'm not buying the 8Ks either, but he's only 5,600, so he doesn't need to strike out 8. And there's a lot of big bats. I think a huge score is going to be needed, and if you get the right like Dodger Atlanta combination. Those two teams go out and you spend like 14,000 on pitching. I think that's a viable strategy tonight in large field GPPs. So I don't mind Kyle Hendricks at all. I don't mind Mitch Spence either. So I think those two guys are firmly in play. Like I'd rather play. I'm just looking at combinations. Like I'd rather play Hunter Brown and Kyle Hendricks than Hunter Brown and let's say Tyler Anderson or Bayo or Lopez. So I think there's some viability to going cheap at SP2 today.
I would take Bayo over him, but I'm a homer.
I think the counter argument is like there's so many other guys to pick from that like you're inevitably going to be different. You can spend up on Joe Ryan, Lugo a little bit overpriced, but kind of overachieving. It's hot there in Kansas City, but this Marlin team stinks. Garrett Cole, I'm just not going to get to because I don't trust he's going to throw more than like 85 pitches, and maybe he threads that needle, but probably not. Somebody in chat just said Spence is the lowest I would go, and that's where I'm at as well. A righty against the Angels, and he's 6'6". I don't think it's necessary on Hendricks. Just really surviving on BABIP. Probably, how old do you think Hendricks is, Kirkwood? Because I think
come on, I would say it was a bit. Don't destroy the bit.
Just curious. Do you think he's like 47 years old? How old do you think Hendricks is? He's only 34.
He's been pitching a long time in baseball. Not Charlie. He's not Charlie Morton, but
speaking of pitching a long time, myself and Tim at a very brief little, I wouldn't say debate, but a discussion. Who would you say had a better career, Kirkwood? Better career. We're not going to leave the witness. Who had a better career, Tim Wakefield or Tim Lincecum?
Wakefield.
Okay. I mean, Lincecum was a Cy twice over.
Yeah, but he was cut short.
Yeah, well, he was better for a shorter period of time. Wakefield threw his knuckleball, well into his 40s, I think, right? But okay, fair enough. Maybe the chat will chime in and give the correct answer. I mean, like a smaller, he had a better window, but the longevity.
That's what counts, my man.
No, like being amazing for 3 years has a lot of value too.
Not really. No? It has 3 years worth of value. 3 years worth of value.
3 years of elite as opposed to like 17 years of like
you overthrew your arm, and meanwhile he perfected a knuckler and was winning World Series.
Yeah, well, he didn't hit any home runs, and he gave up the homer to Aaron Boone, right? So how about that? He's not clutch.
Did he? Was it him who gave it to him?
I think it was Wakefield. I'm pretty sure.
No.
Okay.
I was there. It went right over my head. I have that story. But I think they did do something funky like that. I think they were out of like.
Wasn't it Wakefield? I think it was Wakefield that gave it up.
It could have been. It may very well have been. But
didn't Linsky win World Series with the Giants? By the way, Jack's pointing out in chat. I think wasn't he a winner as well?
He was.
Oh wait. Oh, so they both won World Series.
Again, we're talking 3 seasons here.
Yeah, but he was a Cy Young winner multiple times. And he had a funky delivery. He was a good guitar player.
Yeah, all that stuff's great. Tim Wakefield did so much for this community. Like, does that count?
Sure.
If you want to start going down there.
I mean, you go to the coffee house.
Scott, like, why do you feel the need? Because Tim went, first of all, rest in peace, Tim Wakefield, horrific tragedy, and his wife, horrific tragedy, and you're sitting here besmirching the name.
No besmirching. No besmirching.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
It's not a besmirch. Spectacular career. All right. So how do we?
Was that a besmirch?
Oh, definitely. That's all he does. That's what he does. That's what he does.
It's crazy that we let him get away with this stuff.
He can't keep getting away with this. Yeah. Do we know who you guys are basically making one lineup each, just like I. Do we know who the SP2 is, or it's just kind of like whoever falls in line, like one of these 6 guys? I don't have like this person must be it. It's not going to be Tyler Anderson. I can't believe Tyler Anderson's getting 10%. I know he's facing Oakland, but I can't do that. I really like Gore. I just wish there's a couple more Ks in that San Diego lineup, but I feel good about him today. I think he's at the highest K rate on the slate, if I'm not mistaken. Well, Garrett Cole does. Mackenzie Gore. Cole does, but that doesn't count.
Highest swinging strike rate, highest K percentage. I mean, everything looks good with him. So his repertoire is so good. So basically, we're saying if Patrick, and he's a lefty, right? So if Patrick Corbin can do a good game against this watered down Padres lineup, and yes, I'm a Padres hater, but you're telling me that a guy with a great repertoire, he's got it all. He's got the 4-seamer, he's got the slider, he's got the changeup, he's got a cutter. I think. I mean, he's legit their ace, and I feel like I'm obligated to run it back against this gutless Padres team.
So ideally, that's who you want it to be. You want it to be Hunter Brown and Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, but I also know he's going to be he's also going to be a little bit lower owned than the other, like Joe Ryan probably, and Hunter Green. And Hunter Green I'm probably going to have to go back to. I saw the early weather reports, and I kind of counted them out. So.
He's the second most popular right now, Kirkwood. It's currently 52% for Brown, who's in his own tier. Then 31% for Hunter Green. Again, he's also in his own tier, right? And then Joe Ryan at 19%, Fott at 14%, who's perfectly fine, I think. Miller at 12%. We're giving him 90 pitches.
We're not even at Mackenzie Gore yet, who's the highest strikeout pitcher with the highest swinging strike rate, facing a team that doesn't have their best player.
Yeah, 9% for Gore, 8% Gausman, 7% Lugo. It's just kind of price that makes that tricky. Cole, 7%. I just can't get to Cole. Good ballpark, good environment. He probably pitches 5 or 6 good innings, but they're still kind of asking a little bit too much as far as I can tell. Jump in here, Tim. Do you have a favorite? Have you built your lineup just yet? Do you have a shell currently? How fluid is that shell?
The shell is very fluid. I want to go Brown Green, but that's very, very chalky, so I might not do that. I'm definitely not as high on Gore as Kirkwood is. He's currently not in the running as my SP2 for me, just because the Padres strikeout projected a 16% clip. So
yeah, that's counting a guy with a zero. That's counting a guy with a 0% in there. Pretty sure, at least it was this morning.
Yeah, that's true, but still, I mean, other than.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's a low. The point still is valid, but it's a little overblown.
It's a very, very low K team. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate Gore. He's just not going to be my single entry team. I'm looking at Green. I'm looking at Fott. I'm looking at Spence, and I'm looking at Hendricks. That's who's really in the running for me.
So what I'm hearing is you want to spend up on some bats. There's a stack out there that's kind of expensive. We'll talk about stacks a little bit later, but it doesn't sound like you want to go double barrel because we do live in the world of a salary cap, and you want a pitcher that's a little bit cheap. It's that Joe Ryan would restrict you from a couple bats. Is that correct? Can you confirm?
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, in cash games, I'm going Brown, Green, and then getting to as many Dodgers as possible. But I don't want to do that in GPPs. So if I'm going to go Brown, Green, I better find some different stacks that I like. So if I'm getting a little bit different at SB2, is going to still allow me to play some of those high-end Dodger bats.
Yeah. Trying to see who else is worth pointing out here. Lopez, kind of pricey. Oh, I did want to mention Weather Edge. We should talk about Weather Edge because even though it didn't work out. Well, it was weird because Kansas City, I think, hit 3 homers yesterday. I think they had 3 home runs, but they were all solo jobs. Nothing else happened. But, back to Kansas City today. It is scorching once again, 95 degrees. Fire emoji in Weather Edge, 99 similar games, so similar weather. 14% bump in homers in those games, 15% bump in runs. The wind is blowing out basically to dead center at 10 miles per hour in St. Louis. The Lou is hot, 96.
That didn't. I smashed the over last night. That didn't.
So did I.
Too well. It didn't work out too well for me.
Not one sweat of bead.
All we needed was that one run to tie, because then it would have been 4-4, and then it would have hit. We would have hit the over with that next run. And,
that's beautiful when that happens, right? You get that 4-4 score.
Darno hit that liner out to was right at the center field. They played it perfect position. They got so lucky.
Ozuna had like 2 or 3.
And then it was Zach Short. Zach Short came up like what was our last chance, and it was like
it's over. It's over.
He looked worse than Javi Baez. He swung at like the worst pitch I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean Forrest, Forrest. The Braves are rough these days. Some of the guys, they're 25th and 26th guys that they're rolling out there. Not very good.
Sorry to interrupt. The crazy thing about that too is they used Adam Duvall to pinch run instead of putting Zach Short to pinch run, and then use Adam Duvall to bat. Like it made no sense. It was absolutely asinine.
But it is scorching once again in St. Louis. A 20% bump in homers, a 19% bump in runs. So I'm going to go back to Atlanta to some degree. Far as we know, Kyle Gibson is throwing baseballs for St. Louis today. Hopefully he doesn't get scratched a minute before his start. But that's where we're seeing it right now. Looks like we just got the Angels lineup that just came in. Chanel, Rengifo, Ward, Calhoun, Ohapi, Neto, Moniak, Adele, and Guillerme. Minnesota's got some injuries they're dealing with too, right? They got Castro, Larnach, Lewis, Kepler. I think Kepler was dinged, so he's in the lineup today. Correa, Santana, Buxton, Jeffers, and Martin. All right. Didn't they send somebody down or somebody got hurt? I'm forgetting who it is.
I mean, they
off the top of my head.
The second, what's the guy's name? The second base.
Oh, the Frenchman they sent down. Yeah, well, they sent him down a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
losing his name. The second baseman. He would get pinch hit for sometimes.
Julian.
Yeah, Julian.
All right. Anything else of note here as far as pitchers here, Tim? Anything we should stress? I'm trying to see if anybody wanted to mention a pitcher in chat they would like us to elaborate on, because there's 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 guys that you could play, and we're not necessarily going out of our way to talk about them, but we wouldn't smirch if the name was brought up. Okay, so Wisnhunt was supposed to pitch for San Fran, or allegedly going to be pitching for San Fran today, one of their prospects. Man, San Fran's doing some goofy things. Spencer Howard yesterday did not enter the game until the 4th or 5th inning or something, and then he pitched really good when he got in there. They keep jerking him around. It does not appear to be Wisnhunt's gonna pitch for San Fran. I think he was called up. I'm not certain, but as of right now, we just have an opener, right, for San Fran. That's a situation I'm seeing. Randy Rodriguez. Do we know anything else about this, Tim? Do we know if Wisnhunt's coming in or not, or do we care? but I'm not sure.
I would care a little bit more, but he's 7K, Wisenhunt. So
Yeah.
if he's only going to be like, get you like 4 innings, then I don't really want to play him at 7,000. If he was 4K, I'd be a lot more interested. Wisenhunt's supposed to be a really, really, really strong pitcher. So I was hoping he was going to be on the slate, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
He has awesome strikeout numbers, but he's really wild, and he had a pretty high whip, and I think he was PCL as well. So that's a tough place to pitch, but he's an arm that's worth monitoring. But like you said, his strikeouts were really, really good in the minors. I don't know if we're going to see him tonight or not. And the guy they have projected right now is just basically an inning or two guy. So not sure what the plan is beyond him. Of course, you're not going to roster Rod. Stevie and Keith love the Wisenhunt, I guess, on the morning grind there. All right. Anybody we should stress? Anybody else we should talk about?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
For Swaggy T. If you're considering Kyle Hendricks at 5.6, do you have any interest in Haney at 6.8, who is coming off of a massive performance himself, 9 Ks, everything was looking good for him, is facing the Brewers, who do strike out. Granted, they're a little bit better of an offense, but they do strike out more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. I actually kind of like the Brewers stack today. So probably not gonna consider Heaney. But I don't really mind him for large field tournaments.
Heaney's so up and down. Ks in the year 22%. The walks about 6%. I guess I would ask, why not Spence? Or you still have the money for Spence? Or you think that Hendricks is better than Spence?
I would definitely pitch Spence. I have no issue pitching Spence. He's definitely on the short list for my SB2 today. Okay.
Bobby Miller, any interest in Miller? A lot of walks, 12% walks in the season. That's too many, but if you look at the plate IQ stuff, Chicago is really, really impatient. Collectively 6% as far as walks, just one guy in the green. That's Gavin Sheets, everybody else in the red. Just no patience at all. I guess Miller's issue is how many pitches are they going to allow him to throw? On the season, it's small sample stuff, but 38% strikeouts versus lefties, which is a monster number, but it's only 31 plate appearances, 44 against righties. It's all sort of small sample stuff, but Miller does have a nice arm. Any thoughts on Miller, Kirkwood, or just
I'm interested because so he looks a lot worse than he really is. In his last start, he gave up 3 runs right off the bat, and he had absolute command issues, but he's working his way back. His repertoire is really good. Like if he can get his command going, which he will eventually, this may be the start. A matchup with the White Sox looks pretty good. So and he's the first guy that everyone's ready to throw out, right? Like at least that's.
I think Cole's the first guy everyone is going to throw out. No.
Yeah, that could be a mistake too. But.
Well, I mean, you're going to pitch Garrett Cole. How many lineups do you make?
It might be a mistake. I'm saying it might be a mistake of mine.
Well, give me the optimal Garrett Cole start. What does it look like? 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 90 pitches.
Yeah, I
do that.
I would probably project him at 80 pitches.
Yeah,
somewhere around there, but I don't know. How much they're going to baby him and what He could certainly. I mean, it's Garrett Cole, and his velocity was down and all that stuff. So there's a lot of room for more, upside once he does get going. I get it. There's a huge. It's a big red flag over him. But would it shock you if he goes 85, 90 pitches and has an elite game against the Mets?
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. 62 pitches his first start. Generally speaking, they move up in 15 to 20 pitch increments as they're kind of working their way up. And the Yankees they don't, it's cool to beat the cross, beat the Mets, Subway Series, whatever. But this game doesn't matter, and they care about, the World Series. And it just doesn't seem like a game that's worth pushing Cole for, big picture wise. Maybe he throws 85, right? 85 is probably stretching it. But I think he can strike out 9 or 8 in 80 pitches.
Did you hear the Mets rumors for our boy Stevie behind the producer Steve?
I did. What was the polar bear going to Boston?
Yeah, potentially. Wouldn't that be something?
That was Rosenthal, right? I think it was Rosenthal.
No, Passan.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah. They said if Boston keeps playing well, and I guess Boston's got a shot at making, and he's a free agent, right, after the season, so they probably wouldn't have paid too much for him. I think he's a free agent pending end of the year. So it wouldn't be a big spend, I'm guessing, if you want to just get a loaner. Although Gribbis and the Mets and Ronald McDonald, all of them they're playing pretty well, so maybe the Mets will make a run too. And with the extended playoffs, there's more teams that might trick themselves into thinking they got a shot. It'll be curious to see how that goes down.
What are your thoughts on Baltimore? Are you? Yeah, I would take the polar bear absolutely in Fenway. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, perfect park for him.
Yeah. What I would like. I'll ask you later off the air. Never mind.
All right, Tim. Anything else as far as pitchers you want to give the summary?
Yeah, I mean, Hunter Brown is the chalk. I think we all think he's good chalk. I agree with that. I'm very high on guys like Hunter Green, Brandon Pfaadt. Do not mind at all if you want to punt SP2 with Spence or Hendricks. But that's, or, I guess Bobby Miller, I guess is okay. He's not going to be super chalky. So I think he's a pretty decent pivot off of guys like Green, guys like Gore as well.
Kirkwood, give us a summary. Pitchers.
What he said. But Hunter Brown, obviously, good chalk. Hunter Green is probably my next favorite. But if you weren't taking ownership into consideration, taking ownership into consideration, me personally, I know I'm different from you guys. I like Mackenzie Gore, and I get it. It's the Met, they don't strike out a ton, but the Padres. But if his stuff is working, the strikeouts will come. So I'm not scared of that. So 8,800 looks like a steal. He's the highest K percentage on the slate, highest swinging striker on the slate. He's falling after Corbin yesterday, who pitched well decently against him, and Tatis is out, just to reiterate all my reasons. I'm kind of interested, and the more I'm thinking about it and looking at Bobby Miller, I'm kind of getting a little bit interested, but Joe Ryan is probably the better play out of all those guys. Did we talk about Pfaadt at all?
We mentioned him in passing. He's kind of one of
those
guys.
We didn't talk about Ronaldo Lopez.
Yeah, he's kind of expensive. It's high.
I've got no interest in Lopez. I definitely have interest in Pfaadt, though.
He's been overachieving. He's fine, but he's a little bit overpriced. Kind of like Lugo. Like, I think he's going to be okay, but is Lugo going to give you like a slate-winning score? Probably not. I don't think Lopez gives you a slate-winning score.
He was all his velocity.
You really got to pay for him.
His velocity was down in his last start too.
I think Ryan's the interesting one. We just really didn't talk about him. He's kind of pricey too. Going to get 20% ownership against Arizona. He's not in those heated conditions. Not a great ballpark to pitch in there in Arizona, but it's not like 95 and scalding. I assume the roof's going to be closed. I've not checked, but I can't imagine they would open up the roof in the desert today. Anything else of note? I think we're good. We're going to talk a little bit of stacks in a second. Before we do that, we got a video for you people as well. We got to show you. Will's got some player props for the people. Here's today's question. So Tim, it's athletes, right? It's not just baseball, correct? It's not athletes as a whole, correct?
It's pro athletes.
Pro athletes. Okay. Wait a second. All right. Pro athletes. He power ranked pro athletes named Tim. So give us in the chat. Think about this in the chat as you're watching Will's video.
Tim Kirkwood didn't make it.
Well, we'll see. The board has not been revealed just yet. We'll see if it.
Was he a pro athlete? Was he a pro athlete, Kirkwood?
No, he's a hell of a coder, though. He's like a genius coder.
Well, when we power rank coders named Tim, I guess we'll think of your brother, right? That's your brother?
Yeah. File that. Keep that filed, okay?
It's a little narrow, cat, a little nichey. I don't know a lot of coders, especially those named Tim, but we'll maybe the last week of the season or something like that. And we're out of ideas. But the chat, tell us athletes, pro athletes, the best and worst pro athletes named Tim as we listen to Will.
It's MLB action, and we're talking boom fantasy yet again. First up on the docket, folks, we've got a pitcher that's been pitching his butt off this season. Tariq Skubal at 6 strikeouts, facing the Philadelphia Phillies. I've seen him pitch against really good teams that pitch well. At 6 strikeouts, I'm taking more than that projection in a different game. We're going to David Peterson. David Peterson at 5 strikeouts flat. Folks, I want less than that projection facing the Yankees on the season. He's well under 20% K rate at 12.2%. Yankees have been a fairly low strikeout team this season, and I'm expecting them to make good contact and run Peterson out of this game. Folks, let's spin the wheel and see what our multiplier is for today. All right, it looks like we've got another 3.5. If you want to put a bit more boom into your fantasy, use the promo code GRINDERS. Get up to a 100% match, up to $100 in the form of a free entry.
All right. Shout out to Will. Shout out to the chat. They're throwing out a lot of options. The chat is very passionate about some of their takes here. I see. This is why we were talking about Tim Lincecum and Tim Wakefield. You guys didn't piece that together. Tim Anderson better be at the bottom. I lobbied for this. It was Tim's board. So, Tim had final say here. Tim Richmond, little run TMC. Tim Hardaway, I don't think he was mentioned, but of course, you got to get to both of them. Tim Salmon, there you go. Shout out to Tim Salmon. Tim Rock Reigns. He was a slugger for the Angels many years ago. Remember, like the whole joke of like the Angels have they had a trout and a salmon, the fish. You've never heard this before. he probably has like 250 career homers or something like that, give or take. But Tim Duncan looks like the chalk according to the chat, and Tim Tebow.
Tim Donaghy is a great one. Someone just said.
Well, he's not a pro athlete. He gambled in pro athletes.
But that's close. That's in the conversation. It's in the conversation.
In what conversation?
In my,
we're going to power rank those convicted of committing crimes.
And then there was another ref that just got in trouble. It's crazy.
There's an MLB umpire.
Yeah,
that's suspended. He's suspended.
All these guys, they're all crooked.
A lone wolf. I bet. Let me guess. A lone wolf, right? It's always a lone wolf. It's never a part of any kind of syndicate. Tim McCarver, he played, so I guess it counts. He's not calling games anymore, right? I don't think so. Tim the Toolman Taylor never played in the pros. Tim Howard, goalie for the U.S. What do you got, Tim? I guess our board's going to pop up in a second, but a lot of participation here in the chat. And most of those names, if not all those names, I believe are mentioned.
Pretty much, I think so. Other than Couch, I didn't see any Tim Couch.
No Tim Couch love?
No. But Duncan's definitely the chalk number one. We debated Wakefield or Lincecum as slot number 2, but it's my board, so I went Wakefield. Then Tim Raines, and then Tebow. I mean, one of the greatest college players ever, but a bust as a pro, in my opinion. And then Tim Couch, the biggest bust as a pro.
Tim Tuffle getting some love there in the chat. The old Tuffle shuffle. Like, this is a guy that he was known for shaking his butt. Like, that's what he did. He was on the Mets winning 86 team. They don't know who Tim Richmond is. Well, Google Tim Richmond. He was really good back in the day. Remember Tim Biakabatuka, running back for Michigan? There's a good random Tim popping up out of nowhere. How do you feel about this board, Kirk? What do you think? Who was
there's a boxer named Tim. Tim Bradley, maybe?
That's not my wheelhouse. It sounds vaguely familiar. But
Tim Bradley, American. Yeah, he was pretty famous. He's a commentator now too. He's a pretty bad commentator.
Well, if we're going to rank commentators.
Tim
Brown, former receiver for the Raiders.
It's longevity, Bobby. Longevity. Lincecum didn't have that.
Well, he gave it his all for 7 years. He gave you everything he had, and he wasn't selfish. He wasn't thinking about his arm. 2 weeks from now.
That again. Can we show a little respect to Tim Wakefield and his wife, who both passed away? Rest in peace.
A lot of respect, full respect to Tim Wakefield. But and also that's why he came out of the bullpen.
Huge. They were so great in this Boston community. I know
he was loved there,
like revered everywhere, and he would I don't know. Great people, both of them.
All right, let's. Hobie Minor is now projected. Is that an opener somewhere? Do you guys?
Yeah, for the Brewers. For the Brewers.
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, so
He's-
not that we're playing Bryce Wilson, but noted.
We are not. Yeah, it's not a huge thing.
Okay, I just saw Hobie Minor was being projected. I'm like, what, like for 2 points? I'm like, what? Must be an opener somewhere. Okay, let's go ahead and power rank our teams, throw them in the appropriate tiers. Tim, since you set the board, you get to go first. This is where I have to bounce back and forth and see. Okay, so Yankees Mets is the first one on the board according to Lineup HQ. Let's see, Jankowski not in the Texas lab today. Duran is in. That's the one change as far as our projection. Semien, Seager, Smith, Garcia, Langford, Lau, Heim, Duran, and Tavares. That is your Texas lineup. All right, Battle of New York, Tim. Cole taking on, who's throwing baseball? So that's Robertson? I think that's who it is, right? We didn't discuss him at all, I don't believe. Patterson, yeah. Peterson, David Peterson. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know why I did that name. This is not on the tip of my tongue. Talk to me about Yankees, Mets, 8.5 total, rough ballpark. Pretty big favorites here with Garrett Cole in the bump. Where do you have? Look, producer Steve, by the way, trying to manipulate the board.
Yeah, sorry, Steve.
Grimace, man. I've been betting the Mets. They've been a cash train.
You're buying the power of Grimace?
Yeah.
And the fact that Garrett Cole is a bum.
Oh.
Well, I was gonna put the Mets in Tebow, but now I'm gonna put them in couch for that, Steve. So put the Mets right on the couch, and then the Yankees and Tim Raines right in the middle.
Tim Rock Raines, Mets hanging out with Tim Couch all the way at the bottom. Kirk, are we good with that? Any issues? You want to dispute it?
I'm going to flip that of Tim and put it online when he's wrong and the Mets are the
go for it.
Crazy things happen in these Subway series. It's like the Red Sox Yankee series too. But
do they?
I think they do. They do.
The crazy things happen in every game. You're just noticing it more when you're paying attention. But go ahead.
Again, can you let me talk and not interrupt? Thank you. Yankees. I mean, Yankees against the lefty. You gotta like something. Judge is obviously massive home run potential for tonight. Interesting to get the little JD Davis revenge here, but other than that, the lineup looks pretty gross. Yeah, I'm not high on either. I would move the Mets up one. You never know if Cole falls apart, and like I said, the little wacky things. And I think Yankees is fine right where they are. Or I would, just because of the power ups, I would put them up. But I don't like the park, so leave them there.
Okay, so we're good where we're at. Next game, Kirkwood, this is your board. Your Boston Red Sox at home taking on the Blue Jays. We kind of vaguely talked about this game. Gausman versus Bayo. Where do you have the Blue Jays and the Sox?
Gausman has looked like a shell of himself this season. Always on his what does he throw? That's his best pitch. It's his splitter. And it was actually looking pretty good last year. So this is a guy who could turn it on and all of a sudden get correct things. But until that happens, I'm going to have to go with the hottest team in baseball right now and put the Red Sox up on Tim Duncan. Right? Shouldn't they be there, Tim?
The Red Sox?
Hottest team in baseball. Aren't you a Sox fan? No.
Not really.
I thought the main guy was a Sox fan. Never mind. All right.
It's just whoever I gamble on.
Yeah, I hear you. It's nice weather out here. We're in Fenway. There's a chance they can rip this one open. Hottest team in baseball. I'd put them. You can leave them where they are. I prefer them in Wakefield, but I know you guys are going to move them down. So
wild things happen when the Blue Jays and the Red Sox play. Just I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Really? Do they really? Really though?
Tim,
I'm gonna move the Blue Jays up one and the Red Sox down one. Yeah. Bayo was a really, really strong ground ball pitcher, but he doesn't strike anybody out. So Blue Jays are going to make a lot of contact against him. So I don't mind some Blue Jays tonight, and I'm not as high on Boston as Kirky is.
Okay, so you said down 1-0. But where do you officially want Toronto? They're currently in Tebow. You want them down hanging out with the Mets?
No, I want them up with the Yankees, and I want the Red Sox next to the Toronto.
Both in the middle. I got you.
Yep.
Both hanging. Yeah.
Vlad, even though Vlad hit his massive home run last night, massive, they are still gutless. So
he's hit a couple of homers of late. Maybe he's starting to realize that fly balls are good. Was it like 470 or so in Boston? It was a massive shot the other night. We will keep it there, Tim. We'll keep both teams kind of sort of in the middle, and we will move on. Next game up is for Tim. It's St. Louis taking on Atlanta. We mentioned it's hot there. Once again, 8.5 total. Ronaldo Lopez taking on Kyle Gibson. Tim, where do you have the Braves and the Cardinals?
Braves and the Cardinals. All right, so I'm going to put the Braves in Wakefield, and then I'm going to put the Cardinals in Tebow. Oh, so Steve had it perfectly. Yeah, just like that.
Apparently, according to chat, Vladdy's got BBP and he's on a hot streak. Like, how could you go wrong?
Yeah. Whoa. Here we go.
Get excited. Maybe somebody's got a DM Chop about it all checks out with his BBP.
Shannon is Shannon. We're still not sure if you are actually a girl or not in the chat. There's been some
what does that
debate
matter
about that. It doesn't matter, but I wish we had more females in chat. I'd like more DFS to be accepted and with more females. That would be good. But anyways, yes, Izzy said Shannon is a dude. And actually, Shannon is a guy's name too. Sorry, that's my fault. My bad. Hand up. That's on me right there.
Male.
That's on me. That's on me. My fault. I put the Cardinals down at the end. I think Ronaldo Lopez is going to shove on them, and I'll keep the Braves right where they were. Right where they are.
You want to put the Cardinals down to the Mets, you're saying? Hanging out with Tim Couch?
I would, personally. But
I think the Heat's got me. And we got Arenado back today, right? I think, Arenado back at the 6-hole. Goldie back as well.
I think Lopez has been kind of lucky. I lost enough money on the over yesterday that they are in my on my list right now.
Well, it feels a little bit reactionary, based on the one game that the Cardinals they kind of bounce in and out of your gutless rankings, right? As the season's progressed, I feel like they've been shuffling around. We haven't had an update, by the way, Kirkwood. Do we get an update anytime soon as far as the power rankings?
No, we haven't had one. It's on the list.
Yeah, okay. The people are clamoring. They're clamoring for an update. Let's keep St. Louis in Tim Tebow. Atlanta all by himself there in Wakefield. Kirkwood, you're up next. Dodgers versus the White Sox. Hopefully that's the next game on that board as well. Dodgers, White Sox, Bobby Miller taking on Chris Flexen. Not the best Dodgers lineup because still no Teoscar Hernandez. You got Ohtani, Smith, Freeman, Paez, Hayward batting fifth, which seems kind of weird. Rojas, Lux, Vargas, Biggio. It really does fall off pretty quickly for the Dodgers, but almost a 6 total. Good ballpark, good environment. Locked in for 9. We have the Dodgers, White Sox. Kirkwood, what do you got for me?
Flexen, 48% fly balls. Has been getting by in a lot of games here. He's been I've stacked it against him too much probably at this point, or it hasn't worked out, but I will continue with his. He's so hittable. He throws meat. He's like 91 miles per hour. He's 18% K percentage. This is the Dodgers are the clear number 1 tonight.
How do you think Chopper would do against Flexen?
I think Chopper could rattle off a couple of hits, to be honest with you.
Okay, continue. White Sox?
I mean, I can't. I don't have any love for the White Sox. So yeah, there we go.
By the way, I just saw this note pop up on the screen. It was one of our chatters saying St. Louis orange. I want to be clear. It's yellow orange. Yellow. It's not straight orange. Straight orange is much scarier than yellow orange. Roth will be on in about 20, 25 minutes or so. He'll clarify. I'll give you the best update, but not freaking out just yet as far as the weather in St. Louis, but definitely something to monitor. It says models keep flipping back and forth on this one as far as the coverage of storms. I expect we'll see some slow moving storms in the general area. If one pops up over the ballpark, it will cause delay. If two happen to pop up over the ballpark, it could end the game early. So do monitor that. Let's see. In the chat, they're talking about the RG tournament. It's in the live stream chat channel, right? I believe it's posted in the live stream chat channel. Producer Devin dropped it in there. Go ahead and join that contest. Doesn't cost you anything to join. Finish first in that contest, you get yourself a week free of RG Premium. If you finish first with the RotoGrinders badge, you get 2 weeks of RG Premium. I don't believe it's sold out just yet, so go ahead and check that out. Jump in here. Tim, what do you got? Do we confirm or deny Dodgers all the way up top, hanging out with Tim Duncan, and the White Sox all the way at the bottom with Tim Couch?
Yeah, I know this Dodgers lineup is quite watered down. I'm still going to go with Dodgers in Duncan, and Miller's not going to be projected high enough to get leverage with Chicago. So I agree with Kirky. Put Chicago in Couch.
Okay. Next game for you, Tim. We have let's see, moving on. All right, Marlins. The Marlins taking on the Royals. Another game with interesting weather. It's very, very hot in Kansas City. 9.5 total. 5.5 of those projected runs going to KC. We saw Massey come back yesterday. Yanni Chirinos taking the bump here for the Marlins. I think he's really, really attackable. He's not a prospect. He's about 30 or so, but Marlins just running out of arms. Jesus Luzardo's donezo for at least a month or so. So possibility of getting traded. Maybe that's not happening at this point. Where do you have the Royals and the Marlins, Tim?
Yeah, so the Royals, I mean, they did get some solo home runs last night, but for the most part, the stat disappointed. Don't mind going right back to them. I think they're in Wakefield tonight. They have a 5.5 total. Trinos is a really, really bad pitcher, so definitely attackable. I'm going to put Royals in Wakefield and then Marlins in Couch. I'm not a huge fan of Lugo, but I'm even less of a fan of this Marlins offense. So the bottom half of this Marlins offense is atrocious. So I'm going to put them in Couch.
All right. You know what? It turns out it appears that the contest was not dropped in the live stream chat channel just yet. A little miscommunications. It will be dropping shortly, though. We will be producing that. Our apologies. Get in there soon enough. We'll be dropping it shortly. Spots are limited. How do you feel here, Kirkwood? What do you got, Steve?
I thought we were done with this one. Sorry. I'll let Kirkwood go first, but we skipped the game. Like on time slot wise. We missed the Reds in Pittsburgh.
Doesn't shock me. But Seth Lugo is a guy who's decent, hard to stack against, but also been rather lucky this season in general. I mean, he's pushing almost a 4 Sierra. His swinging strike rate is under 9%. He's very hittable. So there's a couple of bats in this Marlins lineup that I like Jazz. Jazz is too cheap for the power and speed that he brings to the table in this kind. It's still hot and humid out there. So I would move up and do like potential mini stacks with the Marlins, but I wouldn't go crazy. But I definitely like Jazz, and then the Royals should be right either at the top or in Duncan or Wakefield.
Okay, well we'll keep him in Wakefield. We'll go. By the way, the contest was just dropped. Actually, wait. If you want to say they should be up top, then we'll have the conversation. But you're kind of wishy-washy. You got to have some conviction, Kirkwood. Where do you officially want Kansas City?
I don't. Tim Wakefield. They're a top. They're in the top 3 spots tonight. They're right there.
All right.
It depends if you want to. Depends how many we want to put up in the top. But Kansas City's right there. I would rank them ahead of the Braves tonight.
Okay. Well, they're right next to the Braves currently.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, the contest was officially just dropped. Producer Devin went ahead and dropped it there in the Discord. Go have at it. It doesn't cost you anything to join. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium. If you take it down, 2 weeks if you have the RG badge. My bad. My apologies. I did skip the Pittsburgh and Cincinnati game. Hunter Green taking on Mitch Keller. Kirkwood, you go first. 9 total. A bit of a coin toss. Cincinnati slight lean here, according to Vegas, minus 126. Both teams with a 4-ish team total. Keller, Green, good hitting environment, but 2 pretty good pitchers as well. Kirkwood set the board.
Yeah, so you gotta give them a boost just based on the park and the potential. It's not the best. We were gonna have some weather problems, but it's still completely. It's really humid. It's really hot. But they're both two really strong pitchers. So I'm not in love with either side from a bats perspective. I like Hunter Green as the pitcher tonight. I think Keller is even interesting as a pitcher tonight. So I would put them both right in Rock Reigns.
Tim?
I would put the Reds in Reigns, and I put the Pirates in Tebow. I like Green way too much to really get to any Pirates tonight, so I got to bump them down.
McCutchen, Reynolds, Cruz. The Battle of the Cruzes both homered yesterday, I believe, right? Olivares, Gonzalez, Triolo, Grandal, Michael A. Taylor. Is somebody missing for this Pittsburgh lineup? Why does it look a little bit worse than it typically does? Or something looks a little bit goofy to me, but I can't quite.
No, you don't have Sawinski. You're worried about Sawinski. It's Olivares instead of Sawinski.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. It just looked different, like a different iteration. I was staring at it because
Michael Taylor's in there.
Yeah, Taylor feels like a couple of Ks more. Theoretically,
I was going to say that's a big swap in terms of Ks for Green.
Yeah, I do agree. I like where we have that right now, since it's a good ballpark, but
yeah,
more on the Green side than the Pittsburgh side.
Yeah.
Cabrian Hayes, that's the guy who's not in there, and no Connor Joe as well. Okay, Cabrian Hayes, I was the one trying to figure out. By the way, I did see this pop up in chat, and I saw it pop up on Twitter too. Did you guys see that Dallas Keuchel was traded today? Did you guys know he was still playing baseball?
I thought he was done. I didn't even know he was in the MLB anymore.
I don't think he was. I think he's somewhere in the minors, or I don't know.
Are we going to see him again once teams start fully tanking?
I think it was Milwaukee who traded for him, or he came from Milwaukee. Maybe he was on Seattle. I can't remember what team he was. He never played for anybody in the majors, though. He must be in the minors somewhere. Former Cy Young winner, Dallas Keuchel. But, yeah. All right. Let's get back to the board. Milwaukee.
Okay, let's quick deviation here. Who is the first pitcher that pops in your guys' head as like the worst pitcher or the best pitcher to stack against all time in DFS? Who was like of all time? I got mine right off the top of the head.
I'm thinking. I think of like Jose Urena in years past, not necessarily this year.
It never usually worked against him.
Not lately.
You remember Chris Tillman?
That's a great answer. I think that's if we were doing tiers.
And then the next one is the Mets former Met good pitcher on the Mets, but then just completely tanked and parties too much.
I know you're thinking of Syndergaard.
I'm drawing a blank. No, not Syndergaard. No, with Syndergaard. But who was the Matt
Thor?
Harvey.
Was it Thor?
Matt Harvey. Yeah, it was Matt Harvey.
Matt Harvey. That's the one. Yeah. Man, the Mets are supposed to be like set for the next 10 years.
But Tillman was in a league of his own. I've never had one the Tillman was the easiest money ever. It's like
James Shields is another good one there in chat. That's a good name, Steve. He's another guy who was awesome he had a big run, and then he just fell apart. And
I mean, they all like
James,
Tillman was fine too at times. But once these guys fell off, they fell hard.
Chichi Gonzalez for Cubs pitcher, I believe. That was somebody
you're thinking of. Who was the Toronto guy? Alek Manoah.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, Manoah is like on his way to being like the next Cy Young winner, and he says
they sent him down to Single A. Remember they sent him to Single A?
Oh my God, 18-year-olds were punching his face in. What a big old mess. Josh Tomlin also getting thrown out there in the chat. It's a good question, Kurt.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, I should have saved it for a board. Is what I should have done. Sorry, my bad.
Madison Bumgarner. It's funny because a lot of these guys were great. They had their moments, but they just stuck around too long. Mad Bum. I think they paid Mad Bum a bunch of money to go away, right? I think that he had this monster contract, and I think they just said, just take your $50 million and leave. I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. But or maybe his contract did run out, but he was a disaster for a while. Okay. Rockies. We're on Rockies in Houston, correct? I believe we are. Okay, Austin Gomber taking on Chalky Hunter Brown. Less than a 3 total for the Rockies outside of Coors. Houston above 5 as far as total. Minus 275 favorite, monster favorite. Tim, your board. Astros versus the Rockies.
Rockies are in Couch. Astros are in Wakefield. I really like the bottom part of this Houston lineup. The guys like Myers and McCormick do really well against lefties, and they're very, very cheap. And so I love the full stack of Houston on the slate.
So Houston and Wakefield, you got Colorado. Unfortunately, the Rockies cannot be in rock rain. It's just not good enough to get there.
Not even close. Yeah.
No. Jamie Moyer being thrown out. He was just annoying because he would throw like 80 miles per hour and like do just good enough where like your stack wouldn't get there, but he wasn't rosterable, obviously. Some fun names being thrown out there in the chat. Kirk, how do you feel? Did Tim do right here, or you have any issues?
Yeah, no. The only issue I would have is I could put him up even further to Tim Duncan.
Do you have Houston ahead of Kansas City?
I do. I have Houston as my second favorite stack tonight.
Interesting. It's close. Yeah.
Maybe I didn't.
I'll tell you what you have. Actually, I mean, what your rankings were earlier in the day. Yeah, you have Dodgers 1, Houston 2.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. You had Kansas City 4, Atlanta 5. All right. So we are going to keep it as is, correct, Kirkwood? Yes?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Texas and the Brewers, Bryce Wilson. There is going to be an opener there. Heaney on the other side for Texas, 9 total. A true coin toss. According to Vegas, both teams basically a 4.5 total. This is your board, Kirkwood. Tell us where the Rangers are going and tell us where the Brewers are going.
I kind of like Texas tonight. Wilson is not very good. Throws doesn't K a lot of people. Throws some meat right down the middle. Like he's extremely hittable. So I think Corey Seager is probably my favorite play on the slate tonight, if you take an ownership into consideration. Because shortstop is kind of stacked with Bobby Witt and everything, but I think this is a great spot for Seager. Josh Smith has been hitting. Adolis Garcia's price has come way down. Maybe it's still up for debate whether he took a little too many vitamins and now he can't swing so well. But
still pretty cheap.
He's cheap, so he's great home run potential. So I like this whole stack. So I would put Texas. If there was I guess I'll keep him in Reigns, but I could be convinced to put him up at Wakefield. But just because of the Braves, KC, and Houston are there, they're not. They're a step below that, so let's leave them at Reigns. And then, you could say the same thing for Milwaukee. Haney was really good in his last start, and he could be pretty good again tonight. But also, the fly balls could come out in droves, and the power. So you got to like Milwaukee a little bit for some home run upside, even though guys like Reese has been awful this season. But still like him. He's cheap on a lot of sites, depending on which sites. Contreras is always in play. Gary Sanchez make the lineup.
Yep, he's batting 8.
We just got lineups dropping now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like them both right there in Reigns.
Yeah, Hoskins coming back from a pretty serious injury. I think he's going to get there, but yeah, it's kind of a slow start for him. Just got the Nats, the Padres, and the Athletics. So basically all the lineups are coming in. I would just a slight hit to Texas with the opener, the lefty opener. Doesn't mean it's a slight downgrade to guys like Seager and Smith. That's why they're bringing the lefty to start. But again, you can still obviously play him. Tim, what do you got? Texas and Milwaukee both are currently in Reigns.
I completely agree. I lean Reigns for both these teams. I am betting the over in this game because I do like a lot of pieces. But just there's so many other better stacks that we've already talked about. So they kind of land in the middle of the road. But I think both of these starting pitchers or openers are horrible. So I love the over 9, currently minus 112 on DraftKings.
By the way, somebody mentioned BBP for Matt Olson. I was curious when somebody mentions that. 10 for 24 against Kyle Gibson. 4 singles. 4 singles, 2 doubles, 4 dongs, 6 Ks, 2 walks. So yeah, there's a lot of power there against Kyle Gibson. And then somebody else said Ohtani's got bad BBP. What does that look like against Chris Flexen? He is 3 for 18 with a homer, 5 walks, and 3 steals. I personally still think you can play him, but just thought that was interesting. That was a conversation that chat was having. Crunch time coming in about 5-ish minutes or so. We got Derek Carty, we got Kevin Roth. We'll tell you what's going on weather-wise, and Keith Eyster as well. Tim's Taters, hit that like button. We'll get some taters from Tim. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so we go live. And, of course, Kirkwood, you got some Juggalo bombs for the people? We get enough likes?
Yeah, I can come up with one. I'm gonna have to run it back. I whiffed last night. I'm gonna have to run the same guy back again tonight.
Did you fire off just one? You can fire off multiple.
I thought who was your?
I had Matt Olson. I had Matt Olson yesterday and Rowdy Tellez, who was terrible.
Oh,
but that was going. There was one main one off the board.
Yeah.
Tough night all around. I tried to fade Dean with the 5-unit play on the Oilers, and it was just run it back tonight though. It's bad day this year.
Mitch Spence taking on the Angels. Tyler Anderson, Mitch Spence, and the Athletics. 8 total. I don't know who's up next. Tim, tell me who's up next. Let's go ahead and take the board, and let's speed it up just a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, which teams are we doing, Dean? Sorry.
Oakland and the Angels.
Oakland and the Angels. All right, so Angels probably going to go Tebow for me, and A's are probably going to go Tebow for me also.
Both in Tebow, confirm, deny, Kirkwood?
I agree completely. Tyler Anderson is definitely another getting lucky candidate. He's got a 5.21 Sierra, 2.48 ERA. He does have one good pitch. He's got a really nasty changeup that he just relies on heavily. Other than that, he's got nothing. But so I wouldn't be shocked if he gives up. But the A's are still the A's, as they showed us last night.
I like Rooker as a one-off. I think Langoliers is pretty interesting too. Daz Cameron is leading off. Feels like a pinch hit risk when a righty comes in. Just off the top of my head, feels like a potential pinch hit risk. Bryce Wilson did not get scratched, Josh. Just Hobie Milner is the opener, and the presumption is Wilson will come up after him. Kirkwood, Nats. They're
also using like the stats on his first innings. His first innings have been. I remember watching the game because I had the bet on the Fate Siege bet, and they were talking about that, how he's just been really bad in the first innings.
It's the first inning they have if he's coming in the second inning, but I guess it's a psychological thing. That's a strange thought, but okay. If they think it'll work.
All right, which game is
it
this?
Also makes San Diego and Washington. Gore versus Adam Mazer.
I like Washington tonight. I would put them in Reigns because they're just a tick below, but they make for a great secondary stack tonight against he's terrible. And he's got terrible command. He doesn't go long. Depending on how the runs go, you're going to rip into potentially some of the worse arms in their bullpen. So I like them there. And then I'm all over Mackenzie Gore tonight, so I have to put the gutless Padres and Tebow.
So small sample stuff, but Mazer has a 13% K rate and a 19% walk rate. It's just unacceptable.
How is he this expensive too?
And he got so lucky in that first. He loads up the bases, and they made Machado made like the best double play. Like he robbed ripped double down the line with the bases loaded.
Machado is an awesome defender.
He's terrible.
Still,
Eyster.
Yeah, I have no interest in him either. It's small sample stuff at 17 innings, but it's been terrible. Tim, we good with this, or shall we move on?
Yeah, that's good. It's perfect.
All right, we have, I believe, we got two more games. We have all the lineups with the exception of the Cubs, the Giants. Unless they just came out and I missed them. Tim, talking about Minnesota and Arizona, 7.5 total, really, really paltry total. Minnesota slight favorite here, minus 130, almost a 4 total. Fought versus Ryan, two of the better pitchers on this slate. Where are you at as far as the offenses?
This one's kind of tough because I don't mind like a couple one-offs from each of these teams, but no stacks of either one. So I'm gonna put both in Tebow.
Kirkwood?
Yeah, you don't really want to pick on Joe Ryan, although he I don't want to pick on him in this spot at all. He can give up some homers though, but and then on the other side, I would move the Twins up, especially if Fought's going to get some ownership. I think he is, right?
Some, yeah.
15,
that's
a good point.
But I don't really care. Like I'm not going to be on either in my 3 lineups.
This last game is happening, but like I don't think I'm going to be there. I'm hoping it's quiet. Hendricks versus Randy Rodriguez, and then the bullpen. Rodriguez is only going to go so deep. He's essentially an opener. 8 total, bad ballpark. I think I'm ignoring the thing all around. I'm not going to be rostering Hendricks or the pitchers or the hitters. Kirkwood, Cubbies, Giants. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna put just the ballpark, everything. I actually San Francisco. The top half of the lineup is starting to come together and look a little bit better, especially against a righty. Because Ramos has been good, Wisely's been decent. They got Patrick Bailey as a decent catcher option. Soler, Chapman, Conforto's back in play now. So I'll put them in the Rock Reigns because I am not believing in Hendricks at all. Hendricks is. I understand he was amazing in his last start, but I'm not buying it whatsoever. And then I only like a few one-offs in the Chicago game, and I'm not even excited to play them. So you can leave them right in the Tebow. I think that's good.
You just ran off the starting lineup, I believe. There, Wisely, Ramos, Bailey, Soler, Chapman, Conforto, Estrada, VR, and Matos. No Cubbies lineups just yet. Tim, any issues? Otherwise, we got to get some taters from you. We got to get the old Juggalo bombs from Kirkwood as well. Crunch time knocking on the door. They'll be here in just a second. Tim, any issues with this board?
I'm going to put the Giants in Tebow, and then my one tater for the night is Jake Myers, plus 600 on FanDuel, plus 550 on DK.
All right. Let's get the Juggalo bombs from Kirkwood.
I mean, I have to run Matt Olson back again, and if he's dead to me if he doesn't come through it tonight.
Well, he's less likely to homer than he is to homer. So you're saying he's likely to be dead to you after tonight?
Potentially, yes. If he rips one off the wall or something, some good at bats I'll take. And he's been bad too recently. He's been on a funk, But yeah, he's my pick to homer. Good weather out there in St. Louis. For the ball to be flying a little bit.
Speaking of weather, we got Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth has some work to do tonight as far as some weather. Bringing him in just a second, as well as Keith Eyster, Derek Carty. Without further ado, it's crunch time. Let's bring him in. What is up, crunch time? What is up, Roth? It feels like there's been a lot of updates throughout the day. I keep hitting refresh. You've been at it all day long. Is radar just kind of like getting funky on us? It keeps changing on us. Like as the days progressed, I feel like multiple times we've seen a lot of stuff change on us.
Yeah, it's been an interesting day, like especially St. Louis. If you look at weather.com or weather.gov or AccuWeather, it's saying no rain in St. Louis, no rain in St. Louis. Well, it's freaking pouring in St. Louis right now. So I don't think we can trust a lot of those sites. My forecast model that I look at did have rain and does have rain in St. Louis, and it could be a little bit problematic. So that's my biggest concern.
It's not good for the Juggalo bomb.
No, Dean, are you muted?
Why would it say no? I guess it's probably a bigger issue, but why? I'm sure you get this all the time. Like, why would it say it's not raining when it's raining? Like, why can't I figure that out?
Because forecast models are dumb and they're not as smart as people. Like that. that happens all the time.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on. That's the one that's supposed to potentially orange yellow. Oh, see, that's another that just was updated, right? Wasn't it what yellow orange like 10 minutes ago?
It was yellow. It was yellow orange. It's orange yellow. It might be orange soon. I don't know. Keeps it's a full day's work, Dean.
In basketball, we have like the questionable, the doubtful, the probable. Like you hit like the every single one of them.
Yeah.
I think we got every color for St. Louis today, basically.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't end with red.
Yeah.
Can I add one more Juggalo bomb? Corey Seager. I just want to get this out. Corey Seager is number 2.
If he
Dean,
doesn't
congrats.
homer, is he dead to you?
Sorry.
Or is the same threat on Corey Seager?
It's got to be back to back. It's got to be back to back.
Yes, thanks, Roth. And by the way, the Tampa Bay Lightning official account did congratulate the Panthers, which I thought was kind of funny. Because that's your team, and we don't like each other, like the Lightning and Panthers. They begrudgingly somebody sent that tweet, but yeah. Did you watch the hockey, Roth? Did you care?
I was between watching your hockey game and the series that you tweeted about, the Sherry Papini case or whatever.
I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, right?
I was back and forth between those two. Yeah. And I knew the outcome and my wife didn't. So it was pretty fun to watch her go through that, like absolute mind F. It was good times.
It's on Hulu. It's called Perfect Wife. If you like crime dramas, those kind of things, I think you'll be into it. It's a 3-part series, like 3 hours long or so, but worth your time? Worth your time, Roth?
Yeah.
Has anybody been following the Karen Reed story at all?
No.
I don't think so.
It's bananas. Okay, I'll update you guys on that later. But it's a case. It's a case around here, but it's like a murder case for killing a cop boyfriend.
Oh, she killed him?
But allegedly.
No spoilers.
Oh, fun. I mean, not fun, but you know.
All right.
Interesting.
Sicko.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting is what I meant.
The Bear starts in a couple days, so we need something to watch. It'll be what's firing up in another day or two. They're going to drop all 10 episodes at once. I don't want all 10 at once, but that's, because then I don't want to run through them so quickly. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, another day. Kirkwood, you're a fan of the Bear, right? Did we discuss this?
I like the Bear. Great show. And also the girl, the one who the has made it, winning all the awards. I think she's a local Boston girl.
There you go. All right. With that, myself, Tim, Kirkwood, we do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Do not go anywhere, though, because you got, Roth. I don't know if you know this, but it's a 7:10 first pitch. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
You got 50 minutes. 50 minutes till first pitch. All right. We're gonna get out of here. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. We're like halfway through the season. You definitely know the drill. It's crunch time. 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz hanging out with us. We got Derek Carty in the house. Carty, you went blank early on, and you said you got something burning in your eye. What did you do? What
I
happened?
have no idea, but my eye just started burning intensely. So I tried to rinse it out, and hopefully we're good to go.
Were you like slicing jalapenos before you came on the show or something?
I had some spicy food for dinner tonight, so it is possible that something got in there.
There you go. That's the issue. Welcome. Excited to get your take on things, especially with Cash and with the bat. And then we got Ice as well. Keith Eyster, aka the Iceman. What up, bud?
Not too much. Got a wild slate here. Bunch of different ways to go with the offenses. I think pitching's a little more condensed, but can't wait to get in and break it down with you two.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the weather. There are essentially 2 games that I think you could consider doing something about. There's a handful of other spots like Cincinnati. They might late start. If they do, that's fine. They're going to play either way. But the 2 games that I think you can consider doing something about would be the game in Chicago, where you've got a chance for an in-game delay. So if you want pitchers in Chicago, you've got a chance of an in-game delay there. And then the St. Louis game, I think, has some risk to bats, and certainly if you're trying to play pitchers there as well. It's not as if it's the worst outlook I've ever seen, but there's just scattered thunderstorms. They're really slow moving. So if you goes up on the ballpark like we have right now, it takes a while for it to clear. We could still see another one. The game probably plays in all likelihood, but there's some risk there. So if you want the no weather risk moves, I would not be playing guys in that game, but it does probably work out.
What happened to Cincinnati? Because this morning your write-up was pretty scary about it. Now it looks like there's not really any issue.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially, that's basically it. Yeah. The storm line that was supposed to move through is now just fizzling out. So they'll get some light rain from it as it kind of breaks apart and moves in. I don't even know if it's enough to keep them from playing. And if it is, they might just briefly late start. But yeah, that system won't hold together. So that'll clear out. Ice, you have a question as well? I see it.
Yeah. I'm just a little further on that one. If they don't late start, any risk of in-game delay or
in Cincinnati?
Delay? Yes.
Give me 1 second. Just looking at the very latest radar.
And then a little follow-up on the Chicago one as well. How high of a risk there?
I just think in Cincinnati, I think they're going to be fine. Is there some smidgen of in-game delay risk? Yes, but I just think it's either light enough or misses or they late start. There's a lot of ways it can go right, and I think the chance of it going wrong is very low in Cincinnati. You wanted in Chicago?
Yeah, there's a low-owned pitcher there that I don't think a lot of people are going to play. I have some interest, but might not be worth it if it's significant risk for in-game delay.
I wouldn't say it's significant risk of an in-game delay. There's this broken line of storms moving down. It should be weakening as well. So if it goes over the ballpark, I'm not even sure it's going to be heavy enough at that point to cause the delay. It's not a significant risk, but there is a chance of a delay. If he's a low-owned guy and you've just got some of him in some tournament lineups, I say stick with it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And that leaves us with Cincinnati, with St. Louis, where are you just, I think Atlanta is there, and I assume you want some of those bats.
Yeah, I want some of those bats. Haven't decided what I'm doing with it yet.
Honestly, yeah, I don't even think they're that important tonight.
Okay, that's good. It's certainly in cash games, if you can get off of them and just avoid the risk completely, I would prefer that. I think in tournaments, if you're just like, this is my team, I'm stacking them, then, bite the bullet and take the risk. It's not the worst risk I've ever seen, but it is the only spot realistically where things could go wrong tonight. So that's what I've got. I might have more updates here. The weather's been insane today, so maybe things change over the next 30, 40 minutes. So I will let you know if they do. In the meantime, let's just dive into the slate. Carty, talk to me about the overall outlook, or you can talk pitchers.
So I kind of love this slate. I think there's one stack in particular that is fantastic that no one's going to play. On the previous show on GrindersLive, they had him in whatever like the F tier is. I think they had a couch. They had him there, and they'd be in the A tier for me tonight.
Let's hear it. I'm excited.
We'll get into it later. We'll talk about that. But like, I was on Blender show earlier today, and we did the same exercise, and we had them both had them in the A tier. So I'm kind of excited to talk about them. Pitching is there today. It's a thing. Well, let's get into pitching. So Hunter Brown is clearly the top guy on the slate, like by a lot. Even though he struggled earlier in the year, it looked mostly like bad luck. He's gotten better since then. DraftKings has just decided we don't need to raise his price above $8K, but they should, especially when he's facing the Colorado Rockies away from Coors Field, because he's far and away the best pitcher on this slate. In cash games, this is one of those situations where like you're playing Hunter Brown or you're terrible at DFS. In tournaments, he's going to be super high owned. He's going to be like 50 or 60% owned on DraftKings. I still think there's ways you can play him in a plus EV way, especially if you play him with the stack I'm talking about with some high dollar one-offs or something like that. But yeah, like he's kind of in the tier by himself. After Hunter Brown, then the next tier is like Hunter Green and Joe Ryan. Neither is in like an amazing spot, but both are talented. Both certainly have plenty of upside. I like Hunter Green more. He's facing the weaker offense. He is in the tougher park. It's Cincinnati. It's hot, but it's kind of hot everywhere almost. And, he can always blow up, but he can also strike out 12 guys, and it's the Pirates. So that, I think, is your cash pairing on DraftKings. Ryan, I don't think is going to be nearly as owned as Green. So in tournaments, I like Ryan quite a bit. He's more expensive. He's 1,200 more. I think that's going to have something to do with it, and that fact that he's not facing the Pirates. So Ryan in tournaments, I like. And then you have a bunch of other guys that I think are fine that you can just throw darts with. You have Tyler Anderson. You have Brandon Pfaadt, Mackenzie Gore, Brian Bayo, David Peterson, if you have to. But really, it's kind of that top tier, and then everything else is kind of just there.
Okay, very good. Ice, what are you doing? And I guess my first question is, how are you approaching Hunter Brown? Are you just going 100% and being like, let the other people fade him?
I don't know if I've had a 12-game slate where my pitching pool has been as condensed as it is today. Like, Hunter Brown is just so clearly the top play on the slate. It's not even close. He's on DraftKings. He's probably 1,500 underpriced for where he should be. He's been outstanding over his last 5 starts. His strikeout rate's up around 32%. He's like completely erased a walk issue that he had big time early in the year. Walks are around 4% over his last 5 starts. And like, those starts are against bad teams, but he's facing another bad team again today. So I'm fully buying the Hunter Brown, not quite 100% just because it's baseball. Anything can happen. But we're up around 80% on Hunter Brown today in 40 lineups. So definitely think that's good chalk there. Joe Ryan is a little bit expensive for what I want to do with the bats. So not getting to as much of him as the field. I think he's a great pitcher. Tougher strikeout matchup against Arizona. So just a little concerned with the ceiling there for Joe Ryan. I'm living in like that 8K range, like the upper 8K range in particular. Hunter Green is probably the pitcher I feel the second best about. As long as the weather holds as we lead up to lock here, I'll be overweight on him. Mackenzie Gore is another guy I have quite a bit of interest in. You get a little bit of a discount from Joe Ryan. He kind of has the same issue where he has a tough strikeout matchup, but he does have the type of stuff where if he's on, I think he can still rack up 7 or 8 Ks, even against a high contact San Diego team. Mitch Keller's in a tough park, but he's been in really good form of late. So I have a little bit of interest there. He's very, very low owned for what I'm looking at right now. I like taking a little bit of a sprinkle on him. Bobby Miller, I don't think many people are going to play. He gets an awesome matchup, but his pitch count is limited. He's coming back from injury. He has not been quite right this season. His first start back from injury was in Colorado, so the Coors Field effect. I'll give him a pass for that one. Really talented young pitcher. Awesome matchup against the White Sox. If Miller was right and stretched out, he would be right there with Hunter Brown as way underpriced for the slate. He hasn't shown that form yet this season, so going to try to be a little bit early on Bobby Miller there. A little bit cheaper, I like Brandon Pfaadt. Decent matchup against Minnesota. And if you're really dumpster diving here, Mitch Spence is okay. I like the matchup against the Angels. I don't have a ton of confidence that he can rack up a ton of strikeouts, but I'm not doing that personally. Going down, the lowest guy I have is Pfaadt in my pool. And then Kyle Hendricks is super cheap. He's coming off a great outing. I don't think that's crazy either, but again, I'm not going there.
Okay. Very good, guys. Let's talk.
I just want to chime in about Bobby Miller. Like, I think he's the one guy. He doesn't project super well, but he has so much upside that I really like the Bobby Miller call tonight. And I don't even necessarily think the stretched out. Like, I think it's possible that he's stretched out just fine. Like, he only threw 79 pitches in that game in Coors, but it was Coors. He gave up 5 runs. Like, it happens. In his minor league rehab start before that, he threw 93 pitches. Like, there is a chance that he's just good to go. And I think the upside for him is bigger than just about anybody else on the slate.
Okay. John, just kind of reminding, he is in the game that does have at least a chance of an in-game delay. But as I mentioned, I don't think that risk is high enough that you should fade a guy that you like, especially coming in at low ownership like that. So I'm kind of on board with it still. Let's talk about the stacks. And generally I would have Ice go first, but I feel like Carty is chomping at the bit here to give us this low owned stack. Ice, I've seen your prediction here in the chat. He thinks he knows where you're going with this, Carty. What do you like? Let's hear it.
There were a lot of people in the chat who guessed it. It's not like I think this is like the best team of the night or anything, but the Marlins are the stack that I really, really like tonight. They're in Kansas City. It is a big park upgrade. People don't realize how nice of a hitter's park Kansas City is these days.
Yeah, especially with the weather, the way
the
it
weather
is.
is
Hot and humid.
fantastic. It's like 100 degrees with double-digit winds blowing out.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Seth Lugo is due for some regression. Like, he's not bad, but he's not as good as he's been this year. And the Marlins are actually not terrible. Like, they're a below average offense. They're not like a terrible Oakland, White Sox level offense.
Mm-hmm.
And they're incredibly cheap, and they're going to come in low owned. And so, yeah, I think the Marlins tonight are great. They, from in a raw sense, they're, maybe like 10th best or something. It's not like I think they're amazing. Like, the Dodgers are going to be the best stack tonight. The Royals on the other side of that game against Yanni Chirinos are going to be fantastic tonight.
But when you factor in ownership and price and all of these other things, it's pretty appealing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll let Keith go. I mean, there's lots of other teams to talk about, but those are, the Marlins is the team that I'm the most excited about.
Okay, Ice, let's start with the Marlins. Do you have interest as well, or do you think he's out of his mind and you would have had them in the F tier? I think it was the Tim Couch tier as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd have him in the Tim Couch tier, but probably the one right above that, whatever that was, the fourth.
I believe
tier.
It was the Tim Tebow tier was right above that. Yeah,
Tebow, yeah. I get it. I'm not a full believer in Seth Lugo either. The weather is obviously great. I don't know if I agree that the Marlins aren't in the Oakland tier. And who is the other team that he said? But I forget.
White Sox, I think.
Yeah, the Whites. They're probably better than the White Sox. I think they're about even with Oakland. I'll have some more of a mini stack. I don't know that the Marlins can have enough upside to win a full 12-game slate. So I have no full stacks of the Marlins, but I am using them as salary savers as mini stacks. So I think that's okay. And if you're building with the bat projections, you're going to end up with some Marlins unless you force them out. Like they're definitely popping in projections.
And I agree. Like, upside wise, 5-man stack. Like, I can see questions about that. But certainly as a mini stack, certainly as one-offs. And honestly, I don't mind even the 5-man stack, because if you do the 5-man Marlin stack, you can get, you can do Ohtani and like whatever other expensive stuff, and you can play Hunter Green, and you can play probably Joe Ryan, and like you can do a lot with the salary.
Yeah.
But certainly as a mini stack.
Yeah. Okay.
That's an important point. If there was stronger pitching to pay up for, I would have a lot more interest in the Marlins. I think they're totally fine. I don't need to get up to that 9. There is no 10K pitchers, and I don't love the 9K tier of pitching today. So
yeah,
I'm living in the 8K tier of pitchers. I don't need to save all that much with my full stacks.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of your other, I guess not other favorite stacks, but just some of your favorite stacks in general.
Yeah, Carty mentioned the Dodgers. They're in an absolutely great spot today against Chris Flexen. He feels like he survives way more often than he should. He induces pop-ups and things like that, but his strikeout rate is horrendous. He walks too many guys. He gives up a ton of hard contact. It's an awesome spot for the Dodgers. The Royals in that awesome hitting weather against Yanni Chirinos look amazing. I really like the Astros against Austin Gomber. There are a couple of expensive bats in Alvarez and Altuve in that lineup, but there's some salary savers I really like in the Houston lineup. The Yankees are in a good spot, even though they're getting a park downgrade today against a lefty. The Braves I have slight interest in, and it's really only the lefties. Kyle Gibson's been pretty good this season. He has struggled with lefty power, though, and the Braves have quite a bit of lefty power. If we get a little bit of an upgrade in the forecast there, I have interest in Braves bats, but I am fine leaving them out. There's too much risk there. I do really like the Rangers as well. Milwaukee made a smart decision to go with an opener, so that did downgrade them a touch, but Bryce Wilson is expected to follow, and he's just crushed by lefties. So absolutely love the Texas lefties today. Then beyond that, there's just a ton of different teams that you could go with, and they're all kind of the same for me. I don't really have any that stand out above the rest. The one team I do want to mention would be the Red Sox against Kevin Gausman. They're rolling out 7 lefties today, and Gausman has had his struggles with lefties. His strikeout rate against lefties is all the way down at 21%. The Red Sox have been red hot here lately. Carty will love that they're on a hot streak. So I have some interest here in the Red Sox against Gausman. Gausman has that name value, so I don't think many people will play Red Sox, but they're cheap outside of like Devers and Duran. But I really like Red Sox lefties. Slight interest in Brewers as well. Gary Sanchez was one of my favorite cheap catchers. He unfortunately just got scratched. So if that news didn't get out, we need to make sure people know about that.
Okay. Anthony says, any interest in a national stack, Ice?
0.
Yeah, none for me either.
Okay. Kim says, earlier when Carty had something burning in his eyes, it was future Carty crying after the Marlins have 3 singles and 0 runs.
That is certainly possible. I'd like to hope that's not how it plays out, but it might.
Yeah. Any interest in the Padres? And then we'll move on from there. Ice, you got some Padres?
No Padres for me. I like Mackenzie Gore against them.
Okay. With that, I think we go around the horn. We go position by position. Ice, lead us off. Talk a little catcher. Your favorite catcher or one of your favorite catchers just got scratched.
Yeah, my favorite cheap one. The best catcher on the slate is Will Smith against a low strikeout pitcher in that Dodgers lineup. Absolutely love him. Yainer Diaz at 4,100 on DK is a great price against the lefty. I don't mind Jonah Heim as well in that Texas lineup. I'm playing some Texas stacks today. Let's see here. Reese McGuire is a cheap Boston lefty who I might end up on a little bit more now that we don't have Sanchez rather. William Contreras has been oddly bad against lefties this season. He like destroyed them in his career up until this point. So like he's expensive. I like the matchup against Heaney. I'll have a sprinkle of William Contreras.
Okay. Carty, your thoughts?
Yeah, Will Smith's my favorite. Dodgers are fantastic tonight. The park, Flexen, Smith being great. I think he's a priority spend. Contreras, I do really like as well as a guy who's going to be a little bit cheaper, a little lower owned. Salvador Perez, Kansas City is one of the best teams tonight, so I like Salvi quite a bit. And the cheap options really don't really do it for me tonight. You got Langelier if you need it. You got Tyler Stevenson. That's kind of as cheap as I think I'd go at catcher tonight.
Paul says, any interest in Heim?
Yeah, Heim I'd throw into that mix too. You can play Heim.
Yeah. Okay. How about first base, Carty?
First base, there's actually a lot to like tonight. Ohtani on DraftKings, where he's first base eligible, is the guy. If you can get there, not easy to do, but definitely possible. Freeman in the same lineup is going to be great. But then once we get down to more reasonably priced options, I like both of the first basemen in the Kansas City-Miami game. No surprise. Pasquantino's fantastic tonight, very reasonably priced. Josh Bell on the other side, if you need to save some money, is good. And Rhys Hoskins in that Brewers game, I think looks really good. Platoon advantage against a lefty, another pretty good environment. Haney can definitely give up bombs. So yeah, that's what I like. And then on FanDuel, where you don't have to play a catcher, you still probably want to play Will Smith anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Ice, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, love Ohtani and Freeman, obviously. Awesome spend ups today. Pete Alonso is a pivot that nobody's going to play because he's facing Garrett Cole, but we know he can get the best of anybody. Matt Olson is right there in an awesome spot as well if you trust the weather. Vinny Pasquantino is probably my favorite price adjusted play outside of the top two Dodgers. Don't mind Candelario in a good park against Keller. Don't like picking on Keller with a full stack, but I don't mind chasing some home runs against him. Rhys Hoskins against the lefty looks really good. Nathaniel Lowe is lefty, but he's cheap enough. I don't mind taking some shots there.
Okay. Carty, I'll have you know that Ohtani is 3 for 18 versus Flexen. Is he now out of your pool?
Oh, no. Yeah, you got to – I'm surprised the bat didn't pick up on that. You got to lower him a good like five or 6 points in projection. Yeah, he's almost unplayable now.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. All right, let's go to second base. Ice, what do you like there?
I really like Jose Altuve up top in your Astros stacks. Marcus Semien looks really good for the Rangers. Nolan Gorman is dealing with weather, but he's a one-off. I wouldn't mind playing against Ronaldo Lopez. Probably skip that one now that the weather is concerning. Gleyber Torres looks really good. I like this spot for the Yankees. Michael Massey is probably my favorite price-adjusted play in awesome hitting weather in the middle of that Royals stack. Love the spot for him. Gavin Lux is a cheap Dodger you can certainly consider.
Carter, your thoughts at second?
I agree. Semi and Altuve are kind of the top. Easier to get up there on FanDuel than on DraftKings, but I think Jonathan India is, I mean, honestly, I think there's a few guys that are pretty close to them, but India and Massey, who Keith mentioned, I like a lot, especially on DraftKings, but on FanDuel too. The prices are good. Those two games in particular, I really like tonight. Like, it's good parks, it's great weather, it's pitchers that are questionable at best. So India leading off for 3.5K, I think is awesome. I think Massey's really good. And then I think Emmanuel Valdez hitting second for Boston. We haven't really talked too much about Boston tonight, but they're facing Gausman. No one's going to play them. But Gausman's stuff has been down this year. It's in Boston. It's a tough park. It's, again, hitting weather. And I think the ownership on Boston's going to be really low tonight. So I like Valdez in a stack. As a one-off, he's fine too.
Okay, how about third?
Staying on the Boston train of thought, Rafael Devers tonight is projecting as the top guy on the slate and probably not going to be like all that owned. We have, people are going to spend up. They have Royce Lewis, who's on his hot streak. They'll play. They have other options. The guys that I like the most though for cash are, I'm going back to Miami. Jake Berger, I think on both sites, is one of the best values at any position on the whole slate. He's fantastic. On FanDuel, nobody projects better than him straight up than Rafael Devers, and he's 2.5K. So it's pretty easy. Other side of that game, Michael Garcia looks good. Candelario I like for a one-off homer in the Cincinnati game. And that's third for me.
Okay. Ice, third base. Did I skip you at second or no?
No,
I
got it.
Accidentally switched up the order.
Yeah. Okay. My bad. All right. Ice, what are your thoughts at third?
Love the Devers call. I'm totally on board with that. Love some Boston lefties here. Matt Chapman against Hendricks. I know he had a bunch of strikeouts in his last game against the Giants, but that's not likely to continue here. Chapman with his big power, don't mind chasing a home run there. Bregman, a guy I really like in Houston stacks. Josh Smith, one of those Texas lefties I really like once Bryce Wilson enters the game. Tyler Nevin, if you need somebody really cheap, is hitting fifth for Oakland. I don't mind something like that if you're looking cheap.
Okay. Shortstop, Ice.
All right. Bobby Witt Jr. is fantastic in the awesome weather there in Kansas City. I really like a pivot to Corey Seager for a little bit less money. The opener is not ideal for him. He's handled lefties fine, but can't wait till he faces Bryce Wilson. CJ Abrams is a nice pivot up in the top range. Love the matchup for him today against Mazer. Ellie De La Cruz against Mitch Keller, another guy I don't mind chasing home runs with. Willie Adames in a Brewers stack looks really good. O'Neal Cruz with the park upgrade there in Cincinnati. Jeremy Pena in a Houston stack, and Dansby Swanson is cheap enough. Don't mind chasing him for the Cubs.
Okay. Carter, you got a few more names at short?
Yeah, Witt's so good. I like the O'Neal Cruz mentioned quite a bit. I like Ellie on the other side of that game. Really, that's kind of second for me, or short rather. Like get up to Bobby Witt in cash if you can. Otherwise, O'Neal Cruz, especially on FanDuel, is really well priced. And yeah, that's kind of the position. Willie Adames for a home run too.
Sure. Okay. How about the outfield, Carty?
Dodgers are kind of ruling the outfield a little bit like Ohtani. If you're not playing him at first, you can play him in the outfield on DraftKings, outfield only on FanDuel. He's fantastic. I really like the Marlins. Or we'll go with the other. All right, so other Dodgers outfielders. You have cheap Dodgers outfielders tonight. You have Andy Pages hitting cleanup. You have Miguel Vargas for cheap. The Dodgers are great tonight. Then you have the cheap Marlins, who I love. You have Jazz Chisholm, who's reasonably priced in the mid-range and one of the better plays on the slate. You have Brian De La Cruz. You have Jesus Sanchez. I love all the Miami stuff tonight. Outside of Dodgers and Miami, like, you can do some KC stuff. Hunter Renfroe always has a chance of a home run. I think he's, in a pretty good spot. Jordan Alvarez, especially on FanDuel where you have a little bit of more money to play with, maybe. Even though it's lefty against Gomber, I think that's just going to drive the ownership down. And it's Austin Gomber and it's Jordan Alvarez. So I think he's great tonight. And Adolis Garcia, I think, as a one-off for a homer.
Okay, good stuff. Ice, your favorites in the outfield.
Yeah, Ohtani obviously up at the top end. Love the Jordan Alvarez call, one of my favorite hitters on the slate today. Has always hit lefties really well. Gomber is not a particularly strong lefty. Love the Dodgers as well, the cheaper ones, Pajes and Hayward in particular. I don't mind Marlins. The outfielders for the Marlins are actually really strong. Jazz is a great hitter. De La Cruz is solid as well. So this is where I'm using Marlins more than anywhere else. Let's see here. Boston lefties I really like. Willie Abreu and Yoshida are both cheap enough. Let's see. Brian Reynolds, certainly don't mind him with the ballpark upgrade. Jesus Sanchez, another Marlin. Let's see here. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Obviously, should probably mention those two guys. Soto's lefty, but Judge in particular obviously looks great. Let's see if there's anybody else I want to highlight here. I think that about covers it. The Texas guys, I love Adolis Garcia. Wyatt Langford's really starting to pick it up finally. So definitely like some Texas guys too.
Okay. I want you guys to think on some home run calls because the people want some bombs. In the meantime, make sure you're signing up for RotoGrinders Premium. You got PGA, MMA, MLB, WNBA, and an option for whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price, $469.99. That's a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can also get your first month of RG Premium $40 off for a limited time. And if you want to just test run, check things out, 3-day pass is $19.99. That's like a third a tank of gas. That's nothing. $19.99 for 3 days of RG Premium is phenomenal. So make sure you are checking that out. And with that, let's give some bomb calls. Ice, I'm going to let you lead us off.
All right. I will go Jordan Alvarez up top in the expensive range. I will go his teammate Jake Myers. I really like for a cheap guy. And give me Hunter Renfroe in that Kansas City weather.
Okay. Very nice. Carty, you got a few names for me?
Yeah, I was going to say Alvarez is, Ohtani and Judge are kind of always the top two, but Alvarez is like right up with them tonight. And I think is kind of an afterthought for most people. So I really like that. I think O'Neal Cruz is also pretty close to the top tonight. And, there's always so much to play at shortstop, especially Witt is in such a good spot tonight. Like he's going to draw a lot of ownership. I think Cruz is a really good kind of little more off the board option.
Okay, nice. And then we want to know what the best bet is in the home run prop world. What do you got for me, Carty?
So it looks like our best bet tonight is Marcus Semien plus 650 at Bet365.
Okay, there you have it, folks. With that, we're going to open it up to some QQs. We still have 18 minutes to get those questions in. And of course, we are starting in the RG Discord where the cool kids are hanging out. Let's see what we got. JT Money says, Carty, Brown is super chalky on DraftKings. Is he also super chalk on FanDuel? Who would be your second favorite pitcher on FanDuel if he is, Carty?
On FanDuel, he's not as cheap as he is on DraftKings, but he still projects so much better than everybody else. And it's not like he's expensive, and it's not like salary matters as much on FanDuel anyway. He's going to be chalk. The bat has him projected for about 40% ownership. If you want to play something different, almost anything else you do is going to be different. Like you can play Joe Ryan. Pretty much anyone else is going to be like under 5%. You can do Tyler Anderson. You can do Gaussman. Really, though, I guess if I'm picking one guy, I think Ryan's probably my next favorite on FanDuel once you consider ownership and everything else.
Okay, great. Ice, I'm coming to you with Jay's question. He says, FanDuel GPP, high dollar here. Houston Dodgers stack, is that being too chalky?
I assume that Hunter Brown is the pitcher there, and
I
then
think so.
in that case, I would say that's probably a bit too chalky. Unless it's super small field. If it's high dollar small field, then I'm okay with that. I do think those will be the two most popular teams.
Okay.
Well, Kansas City will be right there too. So
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
we'll go to.
It depends on which Dodgers. Like if you're playing some bottom of the order Dodgers, you might be differentiated enough.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see what else we've got in the old RG Discord here. Here we go. FanDuel Cash. Ice, you want Bobby Witt or Ohtani?
Ooh. Come on. I'll probably say Ohtani just because the low strikeout nature of Flexen. I flip a coin. They're both amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Someone said, are we okay with the weather in Cincy? I'm just kind of double checking things there. Yes. Yes. I think they probably just play through some raindrops there, and a few raindrops. What do we got? Carty, DK cash question in the outfield, making your work for it. $2,700 or below. What have we got there, Carty?
Outfield 27 or below.
Yep.
Let me pull up. I mean, there's a lot of guys right around 3K that I like tonight. 27 is kind of a weird. Jesus Sanchez is 2,600 or Brian De La Cruz is 2,700. Both of them, I think, are totally fine.
Great. Okay, Carty, right back to you. DKGPP from D-Rock. He says, I'm stacking Texas. You want Garcia and Bush or Simeon and Candelario?
Simeon Candelario.
Very good. Ice, Jay Brunton says, is PFAT going to get chunnel caked? Is your boy Fat getting chunnel caked tonight?
I don't think so. I actually have a little bit of exposure to Fat today. He struggled with lefties, and Minnesota has 3 lefties in the lineup, so I actually don't mind the matchup for him. Actually, 4 lefties. Santana, the switch hitter.
Okay. Ice, I'll come to you. FanDuel single entry, your favorite pitcher?
On FanDuel, that was?
Yes, your favorite pitcher in FanDuel single entry.
I mean, it's Hunter Brown. If you are wanting to get off the Hunter Brown chalk, I will go Mackenzie Gore.
Okay. Let's see. Carty, I'm coming to you. And DKGPP, Renfroe or Melendez to complete my Kansas City secondary 3-man stack?
I like them both tonight. Renfroe technically has the most raw power. I guess I'd go Renfroe, but I don't have a problem with either one.
Okay. Tom says, tell Carty DK cash on the outfielder 2,700 or below. Thank you. Is that what you... Did you not do that? I feel like that's what you did.
I did FanDuel. I must have misheard, or
that might have been me. It might have been me. I'll take the blame for it. Can you do DK at 2,700 or lower, Carty?
I mean, really find a way up to De La Cruz or Sanchez at 3-1 and 3-2. Vargas at 3K is fine.
But again, the amount is 2,700.
Well, I think you read your lineup
because
because the guy who projects best for under 2,700 is Daz Cameron, and like you can do better than that.
Okay, all right, you can do better than Daz. What do we got? Eric says, Carty, what are your thoughts on a twin stack on DK?
I think twins are fine tonight. Like PFAT will get a little bit of ownership, not crazy, but a little bit. You get a little bit of leverage there. They kind of project middle of the road. They project really low owned. I think they're fine today. There's a number of stacks I like more, but you can definitely stack the twins.
Okay, let's go to Brendan's question. Ice, Bregman, Melendez, or Burger Jazz? It is a DK cash question. Burger Jazz or Breggy Melendez?
Carty would probably go with the Marlins there. I like the first one better.
Not probably. It's a slam dunk. Go with the Marlins.
Okay. Woo. All right, we'll see. We gotta make a note of that one. See how it turns out here. King of Smack says, Ice, I'm playing 150, but I want to play Hendricks and Flexen. Am I crazy? This Dodgers lineup is not good today.
I think you are crazy. for Flexen in particular. Hendricks, I can see the case being made. It's a nice ballpark upgrade for him. San Francisco's not all that threatening. Like Hendricks' big problem is the home run ball, and the park should protect him a little bit from that. Flexen is crazy though.
Yeah. Okay. Jim's question says, Carty, for catcher, is Travis d'Arnaud for Atlanta a good play? I will add, if it's not a great play, you probably don't want to do it because that's the game in St. Louis, right? Atlanta's in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's certainly not a great play. You don't have a lot of catchers under 4K tonight that are like anywhere near viable. Even if through that lens, though, I still think there's better ones than d'Arnaud. Like you have Langelier, you have Stevenson, you have Heim. I don't think I do d'Arnaud tonight unless you're stacking the Braves.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Carty, back to you here. Astro stack. You want my guy Dubon or McCormick?
I mean, I'm not huge. I mean, they're fine tonight, I guess. It's funny how bad the Astros lineup gets after the top guys. I guess it's Dubon, but like, I mean, they're both pretty. They're both pretty, yeah.
Okay, all right. Ice coming to you. Jake Sutton in the YouTube says, DKGPP, you want Abrams, Wyatt Langford, or Seager Chisholm stacking Rangers and Astros, and I need a one-off.
I like the second one there. I'll throw a Marlin out for Carty.
Okay, nice. Yeah. King of Smack says, hey, why is a question for the whole panel? The whole panel. I guess I'm included. That makes me feel good. Why is nobody talking about the Cubs?
Because it's a bullpen game. You don't really know the matchups. It's hard to stack. It's also a huge ballpark downgrade for them in San Francisco. I don't
It's also
hate
like
it.
the
There's
only game on the slate that isn't like 80 degrees. It's like 57 degrees or something there.
Yeah. Right. Every other one is like 95 with winds blowing out. It's the one spot. Yeah, that's true.
And they kind of stink.
That too.
Yeah, there's that as well. Let's see. Lil Tunchi in the chat. That's Lil Wayne. Says, Carty, who's got a better projection in the bat, Gore or Bobby Miller? Who has a higher projection in the bat?
I mean, it's close. I think last I looked, Gore was a little higher, but really not by much. I think Bobby Miller has higher upside. You're not playing either in cash. And so for tournaments, I would rather have Miller, I think, if that's kind of what the question was getting at.
Okay, great. We'll go to our guy, Butthole Jenkins. He says, Carty, Laureano's got good BVP. He's 2,700 on DK. Are you interested?
I mean, that's not even a real question. Obviously, no. Obviously, no. BVP stupid. There's your answer.
It is. That's fair. All right. Tell him how it is. Scott says,
Laureano only probably has like not like 1,500 career at bats or something. He's played like 3 full seasons. Like how big can that BVP sample?
A lot of those came before a PED suspension as well.
Scott says, Ice, how much Margot is too much Margot?
I mean, I don't know how many lineups you're playing. Is he even in the lineup? I'm not pulling. I was trying to look at his ownership, but I mean, I don't have a ton of interest in him.
Okay. Love this question here from Mike in the chat. He says, Ice, can I gamble on Hjelle, 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 for 4K as the bulk pitcher in San Francisco? Can we get a 4K pitcher? You guys don't like any second pitcher. It could be him.
It could be. It also could not be. Like we really don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So just
did they ever
have enough
so there were some whispers that they were calling up one of their top prospects, Wisenhunt, to make his MLB debut. I did not see that they actually officially called him up. So if they did not, I don't think it's like crazy. But I think we're more than likely not seeing more than 2 innings out of any Giants pitcher today.
Yeah, I'm looking at their bullpen and the usage recently. I do think it's fairly likely we see some of him today. Randy Rodriguez is also probably going to see time, though. I mean, I don't think you have to do it.
Yeah. Okay. And Cardi, any love for Anderson FanDuel tournaments? Anderson, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson. I mean, he's against Oakland. You can definitely play him in tournaments.
Sure, that always works. Let's see what else we've got. Travis says, so no pitchers in St. Louis? It seems like they're not good, are they? Are they good? Pitchers in St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, arguably, Lopez has probably overperformed a little bit this season. Kyle Gibson is cheap enough. I think he's playable if the weather is okay.
Let me just. I think they're probably going to late start. I don't know. It just seems unnecessarily risky to me. I'll leave it at that. I think it seems unnecessarily risky, and I don't think I would play pitchers there.
They're not good enough where you should take the risk for it.
And that's
I'll
it.
Just add on to that.
If that's where Hunter Brown was, and you're like, this is the best pitcher, we need him, I'd be like, all right, maybe. But I don't think I'd take the risk on just a dude. He's a jag. He's just a guy, and I don't think we want to do that. What do we got? Spence versus the Angels. Ice. Chris says, I think he can overplay his value. You got Spence versus the Angels.
I agree that I think he can perform well enough for the dollar. It's the upside. Like if those 8K guys all go for 30, you're not going to need a 6K pitcher. Like I'm worried that he has enough upside to help you win the slate, but he's fine.
Great. All right. Let's see. Cardi coming to you from D-Rock, DKGPP, Garcia, Bush, or Simeon and Andujar.
Garcia, Bush, Simeon, and Garcia, Bush, I guess, but I don't love either combo.
Okay.
Like I don't love Bush. I don't love Andujar.
Right. Okay. FanDuel single entry. Cardi, do you feel his lineup is different enough? I believe he was the guy going Brown at pitcher and then Houston and another chalky stack. I can't think. Maybe it was the Dodgers.
Dodgers, yep.
Yeah. If I'm not playing Ohtani and Alvarez, does that make it different enough?
I mean, it certainly helps, but I still think you're playing some chalk tonight.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have here? Roth, my side piece said the St. Louis game will play. Never mind. We're good.
There you go.
We're good.
Confirms.
I need, hey, can I have your side piece's number just for weather purposes, to be clear, not for anything else. King of Smack side piece says the game's going to play. So I think we're going to be good. For what it's worth, I do think the game is going to play. It's just the only game that could go wrong. And that's what it boils down to. But from what I'm seeing on radar, everything's kind of winding down just a little bit, just moving south just a little. I like what I'm seeing on radar more than maybe what I thought I would at this point. Still doesn't make it safe, but I'm happy. Oh, she's got sisters too. That's great. I've been looking for a new side piece actually. So let me know. Slide in my DMs. I'm kidding, hon. It's a joke. Let's see. What do we got here? Mini stack of the Angels. You okay with a mini stack of the Angels, Ice?
I guess. I don't love it.
Yeah. Okay. DKGPP Ice, talk me off of Mitch Spence at SP2, please. Did we just talk about Spence?
Yeah, it's the upside that I'm concerned about. I think he can get you 15 DK points. Is that enough to help you win the slate? I don't know about that. I personally did not go down that far today. Fott is my cheapest pitcher in my pool, but I think it's viable. I'm just concerned about upside.
Okay, good. Beaner says, Cardi, it's a cruise off. You want Ellie or O'Neill? You can only have one cruise. The other must die. FanDuel GPP.
I'd rather not kill one.
They don't actually have to die. They're dead from your lineups. That's all. They'll live.
I think Ellie's the better play, but O'Neill is significantly cheaper. So kind of whatever fits your build. I like them both tonight.
Okay. True DFS says, are we like 90+% on the Dodgers game playing? 90's kind of high. I'll give you 80. I'll give you like 80 plus, like at least 80, maybe higher than that. 90's kind of a lot. What else do we have? Ice, you want Volpe, Abrams, or De La Cruz and JD Davis?
First one.
We've got less than 2 minutes here until lock. Joseph says Ice, Casey mini stack, or Astros?
Love them both. I'll go Astros.
Okay, but you're not doing it wrong either way.
No, both are great.
Yeah. All right. Carty, what's wrong with Nationals lefties? Okay, they've delayed officially a late start now in that game, which doesn't really change anything. I don't know. I don't know if they needed that. Where were we here? Oh, Carty, Volpe, Abrams, or De La Cruz and JD Davis?
I think you just gave that to Ice. I think
I
you were
don't know where
asking
the
me
hell I
about something else. What was it?
Oh, what's wrong with somebody's lefties, right? Wasn't that the question?
Washington's lefties. They're bad. They're bad. That's what's wrong with them.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah. You got to remember.
Outside of Abrams is good. The rest are bad.
It's also in a pitcher's park. It's like one of the only games that isn't 80 degrees. It's not as cold as San Fran, but it's like 70 in San Diego. And so it's just, there's just no need for it. You don't get any leverage. You don't get a discount on price. You don't get anything. It's just, they're bad.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have? Carty, any shortstops under 3.5 on DK for cash? Because shortstop was a position you liked. The top tier.
Yeah, I want to get up to Witt and cash if I can. I don't think it's that hard to do. If you have to go under 3.5, like Zach Neto, I guess is your guy, but I don't think you can. I'm not going to tell you not to, but I want to get up to Witt.
Okay, very good. We have hit lock. I'm going to be updating St. Louis here as we get closer to first pitch. I'll let you know how it looks on radar. So make sure you're following me on Twitter, on X at KevinRothWx. Final question of the day from Paul is your favorite mixed drink. This is a good question. He says his is a little vodka OJ, a little screwdriver. As long as you have good vodka, those are freaking delicious. Carty, your favorite mixed drink. Every time I hang out with you, you just ply me with shots. There is no mixing going on. I don't know if you do mixed drinks, but if you do, what is it?
What was the question? Like my go-to mixed drink?
Yeah.
I drink everything, any kind of liquor. I love mixed drinks. I love cocktails. A well-crafted cocktail, it's fantastic. If there's nothing that like sticks out on the menu as being super interesting, sidecar is usually my go-to.
Very nice. Okay. Ice, you got an answer here? Your go-to?
Old fashioned would be like my go-to cocktail, or if we're including that as a mixed drink. Yes,
I think so. I think we'll count it. I am a whiskey Coke kind of guy, especially at a wedding. I will pound some whiskey Cokes at a wedding. Get a little drunk. You get a little caffeine. It like turns you into a dancing machine. I'm about the whiskey Coke life.
I'm going to keep that in mind next time I see you. We're going to mix in some whiskey Coke in between shots.
Yeah, it just like keeps me up, It just keeps me going. All right. Hey, good show as always, gentlemen. Great hanging out with you for Carty, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew. Always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been